You may be feeling like you've lost your taste for simple things like coffee, that pot roast that you used to love. If you're in Texas, those delicious tacos. But if you're not hungry, if food just isn't hitting the same, that's normal. That's right. I use the word normal, the last word that you want to hear. But this is part of what happens to your body after betrayal. Today, I'm going to walk you through two things: why this is happening to your body and how to get a healthy appetite back. So let's go. Here's what actually is happening inside of you. When you found out, your brain didn't process it like information, it processed it like a threat. That triggers one of three responses: fight, flight, or freeze. Your body's entire job in that moment is survival, not digestion. So that switch gets flipped off. If you were a gazelle being chased by a lion out in the tundra and you were running for your life, do you need to worry about digesting what you just finished eating? No, you don't. If you were running for your life, there's two more things that shut down: your reproductive system. Don't need to worry about having any future little gazelles because you might die. And the third thing that shuts down is hormones, and hormones are what impacts appetite as well. So, in thinking about this, your digestive system is getting deprioritized. It's no longer the big concern. It slows down, it shuts down almost completely sometimes, and that's not weakness. That's biology, and it's doing exactly what it's designed to do. You need to figure out how to survive this big danger or crisis that you're experiencing. Point number two has to do with stress hormones. So let's keep this simple. Two hormones are driving this fight, flight, or freeze: cortisol and adrenaline. Both of them flood your system the moment you're in crisis, and both of them tell your body, don't worry about eating right now, worry about surviving. So that's like the gazelle story I just finished saying. That's why you might feel digestive slowdown, nausea, zero interest in food, even food you love. So here's a tip: this isn't really being dramatic. This is chemistry. The fact that you're not eating and people trying to encourage you to eat and trying to say there's no reason for you to ignore this, those are people that aren't understanding that this is your body's system that's reacting this way, but you do need to eat. If you're experiencing physical symptoms after betrayal, let us know in the comments down below. Your experience may help someone else realize they're not alone. If you say, I didn't eat for, a day or two or however long, or your appetite, certain things disappeared, favorites no longer were appealing, write that. We want to know. So here's the part that nobody is telling you: your nervous system doesn't get the memo the second the danger is over. So this might be a couple of days out, a couple of weeks out, and you've set boundaries and you think that things are going better, but appetite hasn't returned. It doesn't know the difference between the affair that's happening right now and the memory of it happening. So, like, there is no affair happening right now, but the memory is still there and it's still getting set off into there's danger, fight or flight, etc. So, it stays on alert, sometimes for weeks, sometimes for months. Maybe you're experiencing weight loss. Maybe your appetite went the other direction and you started eating to excess and you've noticed weight gain. All of that has to do with our nervous system. So here's another tip: every new trigger, every new piece of information shuts your digestive system down again. And that's why some days they're fine and other days you can't eat a bite. Maybe you've been eating well, cooking and going out to dinner, etc. And one day you wake up and you hear the ding of a phone and text messaging kind of stuff going on. That could be a trigger for that particular day. And there's got to be a reason why, but for the most part, it's affecting your appetite. So, as your partner is doing more and more of the work, showing up, staying consistent, proving that you're safe, that your reactivity will start to reorganize, you'll settle down. You won't have to keep going into that fight or flight. for the most part, as long as they're doing their work, and your body will just start to come back online. So, what do you actually do? You don't wait to feel hungry because you might not. Instead, here's 5 different things you could think about. First, you could be eating small meals, like not 3 big ones, but maybe several smaller ones that give you the right types of food that you need in order to continue to have energy to make it through the day. The second one is protein shakes. Those are easy to get, easy to digest. Gosh, some of them come in delicious flavors, even if you don't have the taste for that. Sometimes you're just going for the protein. And so I think one of the protein shakes I use has got 30 grams of protein in it. And the amount of protein I'm trying to hit is between 120 and 150. So be thinking about what your protein number is and at least try to hit that. The second or the third thing that you want to think about is hydration. First, before anything else, that should be your top priority. Keep hydrating yourself, especially if you've been crying. Your system is letting out all kinds of tears and maybe perspiration, etc. And then you're so busy, so upset, so overwhelmed that you forget to drink. You're basically putting yourself in a pretty dehydrated state, and you don't want to do that because that just will zap your energy. The fourth suggestion, eat bland foods. Maybe eating some crackers to settle your stomach, maybe some rice, some toast, maybe just plain proteins. So I want to just also suggest the fifth thing, eat on a schedule, not when you feel hungry, but by the clock, because you might not feel hungry for a couple of days. And like I said, you have to keep the energy up so that you can maintain a clear mind and also that you can do problem solving on the fly because there's going to be a lot of changes, especially with things like boundaries and expectations and things like that. So here's another tip. Your body won't signal you the way it used to. That's exactly why you have to be mindful about this instead of waiting for a cue that isn't coming. So, not eating adds more stress to your body that is already overloaded, stressed out. It can trigger or worsen real health issues, IBS, Crohn's flare ups, other conditions that get worse under chronic stress. I've seen some people who match up the stress of a discovery along with the worsening of some of their symptoms, the autoimmune issues. My goodness, that sets off all kinds of things. And maybe the system that you'd set up to try to keep that in check is not working the way it needs to. So, definitely, some of these digestive issues, maybe your hormone issues are flaring back up, maybe your high blood pressure's kicking in, diabetes, etc. So, this isn't optional self care. You taking care of yourself and eating well as best you can, this is damage control for your body. So, this is the last piece, and this part really matters. Your brain needs fuel to function, not just to process emotions, but to literally think clearly. What I just finished saying. Recovery isn't only emotional, it's physical. Taking care of your body right now isn't selfish, it's not indulgent, it's part of the healing process, not separate from it. This is the time when I ask many partners to seriously consider paying attention to things like exercise, eating, and hydration. Those things are very important and will help get you through the beginning stages of what is a very big, painful, emotional situation. So, here's the tip. Sometimes that means stepping back, taking a short break from social media. You never know what you're going to come across, and it's just going to remind you of things possibly that are going on in your relationship. Pulling back on overworking. Man, that's my coping strategy. And I'm sure it's a lot of other people's coping strategies, but it is not good to run your battery down to zero, making sure that you have enough energy by eating the right things, but then also cutting back some of the time so that you can reduce your stress level. That's pretty important. So even take a short trip or go on a retreat if you can manage it. It's just going to be that pampering and focus on yourself after being devastated with the news of what your partner's been doing. So you can't think your way out of a body that's running on empty. So, one of the biggest myths about betrayal trauma is that it's all in your head. It's not. Your body has been through something incredibly stressful and it deserves the same compassion as your heart. That's giving me chills. Um, but it's true. I've worked with so many women that you can just see they're all in and hurting. And I feel for them. And that's one of the reasons I work in this area. I want to provide some kind of alleviation of the pain. So, if this video helped you understand your body's response to betrayal, check out our next video. Why do you keep replaying everything? It explains why your mind gets stuck replaying painful memories and gives you practical tools to start breaking that cycle.